Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Goose Chasing. We ain't chasing geese though, but we are talking about the stories that I don't know made us better and helped us out and propelled us to where we are today, pretty much. So, God bless America, and this is the platform that we're doing it. It's a podcast that is brought to you by TAGNBRAG and TAGNBRAG Productions. We are also brought to you by TNB Apparel. Apparently, nobody liked the hoodie that is currently on the website, because we are in the process of taking it down due to low sales volumes and cobwebs forming in the armpit area. But we are also brought to you by TAGNBRAG Land Management. There is better hunting in your future. Dina, what are we going to do?
We're going to build it together.
I love building that together. Well, very well. That's what we got for this week. As I said, you guys can go look for a new apparel item up on the website. There is either going to be a price drop or a new item up there, because the one that is on there right now ain't doing it for the viewers.
Ain't doing it for me.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes you swing and miss, right? That's what life's all about. You swing and miss. You get back in the box. You kind of you put some dirt on your hands. You grip that bat a little tighter, not too tight though. You gotta be playing that flute. You gotta be playing that flute, and then and then you wait for that fastball right down the middle, and you rip.
Barrel of bat, friggin' pipe that son of a gun.
Put the barrel of the bat through the plane, through the plane, through the strike zone. Let it rip. Swing hard in case you hit it. That's my motto. If you got to close your eyes while you're swinging, fucking do it. But swing the damn bat.
Do it.
You miss them baseball days at all, cuz?
I do.
You were a mound guy though. You were a fucking
Love
you
that
were
ball in my hand.
you were a savage on the hill.
Love that ball in my hand.
You didn't even throw very hard. You just placed it well, and people either hit a ground ball or popped out normally. Or you got them waving at that cutter, baby, that silky cutter.
The bender. You know, it's all about some of it was just hitting the spots, but I think a lot of it was just jacking with the batter, they don't know what's coming. That was the
Yeah.
real thing. They
What
think
a
that
head game.
I think that fastball's coming. Well, it ain't. Well, it ain't.
Well, it
I
ain't. Wave at this one, you little bitch.
One of my favorite things to do was 3-2 curveball all day, because in high school that was almost like a guarantee fastball on 3-2. Not for this guy. Guaranteed curveball.
When you can spot that thing, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's spotting it, but a lot of and I was very confident in that, but a lot of times it's hard to throw that for a strike, and a lot of times it wasn't even going to be a strike, but I knew curveball, they're swinging no matter what. They're
Right.
swinging.
Yeah.
And most of the time I'm just throwing it. I just threw it in the dirt.
They see that ball coming, and it's not coming like
It's starting high, and they're
Yeah.
already committed. I got to swing, and then boop in the dirt. See you later.
Sit down.
See you later. Sit down. Actually, most of the time, you're in high school. All these players, we're not like freaking D1 players. So most of the time, catcher, misses the ball, drop third strike, and then you got to freaking throw them out at first. And 80% of the time, they wing it over the first baseman's head. And so you don't get the credit for anything.
Not when your boy was down there. I didn't let anything get past me.
Yeah. No, we played with some good ball players, but love that 3-2 curveball. Come get it.
God, I love a 3-2 curve.
Sometimes I would tell them it's coming. Hey, bro, I'm throwing a curveball. Try and hit this thing.
Give him the glove flick.
I'll give him the glove flick.
There you go, buddy. I'm
You know
gonna
what's
tell
coming.
you 3-2 curveball. You're not gonna be able to sit on it. On your heels, winging the bat. Your head's pulled out to left field. You're already on the bench.
You're already on the bench. Just
your
put the
ass
bat
down.
down and go back to the dugout.
Yeah, where you belong, you pussy.
Go back to the dugout. I'm gonna throw this 48-mile-an-hour curveball at you.
And then I'm going to start your buddy off with it on the next at bat. So,
Yep. And then I'm gonna throw your buddy 7 of them.
oh shit, that was fun, man. Traveling.
Sometimes it was like 4 hitters that were like the best hitters on the team. I would
Yeah,
literally, every pitch curveball.
yeah.
If you could
Wow.
park this thing, then friggin' park it, and good
Yeah,
God bless
then
you.
take it
But
to the
I
parking
am
lot.
not giving you a fastball and watching you wreck it out of the park.
Those would be
Meatball.
those would be the dudes that would hit like a mile high pop up to second.
Yeah.
Just fuck guy the shit out of it.
Yep.
And me and our second baseman would be over there just like, where's it
Who's
gonna
got it? I can't see it. It just hit a seagull.
It just busted the beak of that sequan flying over our field. We're playing in East Lake today. It's by the lake.
Lost the ball and the feathers.
That sequan was coming to get a grilled cheese at Fridays over here, and he just took a 350 height pop fly to the beak.
Oh, the bald seagull's freaking flying in circles now.
he's all flustered. And the
As
poor
a-
hitter's pissed off because he didn't hit the ball 90 feet.
A bald seagull's flying like a friggin' bat now.
You don't know where he gone.
Well, folks, what are we doing this time of year? Huh?
What do you got that freaking lush food plot behind you again?
I love it, man. It makes me happy.
That's what I was gonna ask you, because we actually just posted a compilation of last year's Food Plot Chronicles on our YouTube channel. So if you're looking at start to finish sequence, I think there's 8 total episodes in there. It's like an hour and a half long. It's literally start to finish on our food plot process and everything that we do to plant. And I was going to ask you, because I know it's coming up a lot now. I mean, obviously shed season, turkey hunting, all that good jazz. But if you're a land manager, what can you be doing for food plots right now? Or what are you doing for food plots right now? What do you need to be doing for food plots right now?
Yeah, it's definitely important to you're not really getting ahead of yourself. Just stay on top of the process, because I don't expect everyone to be as crazy about food plots as we are. It takes a lot of time. It takes really all summer, honestly. But one of the things that you have to do is you got to keep everything sprayed down, really. And if you're going to do anything, at least do that. Like, things start greening up right now, and I think it's one of the most important things to do to stay ahead of the weeds. Because if you come in, you may only decide that you're planting fall food plots, okay, which are going to go in tail end August or tail end of July, beginning of August. Well, if that's all you're deciding to do, you can't come in there early July and being like, okay, we got to start prepping our food plots, because you're going to be dealing with 3-foot high bush, and you're going to be dealing with super tall grasses normally, and you can't just come in there and spray it at that time. It's going to take it weeks to die off. You can't wait till early July, even end of June to do that stuff. It takes super long for grasses and, super tall stuff to die off if you're going to spray it. And then when you do that, you got a lot of debris in the field to work with that's going to hinder, exposing the soil, so you can get some seed to soil contact there. So if you're going to do anything, get your food plot sprayed, or food plot, whatever you have. You may only have one. Just get it sprayed, and at least do that, and then you can, don't look at it for a couple months or whatever. If that's the way you're doing it, if you don't have the time to spend all summer on food plots, you're not putting in 10 food plots, you're only doing one. It's kind of a poor man's thing. That's totally fine. You can be effective with that. But get it sprayed now so that when you do come and revisit it in a month, 2 months, it's you may have some slight new weed growth coming up, but it's going to be minimal and everything's going to be nice and flat and dead. And when you go to like till that food plot up, it's going to till so easy, so nice. Or you may just have a little discer. Could be just one of those ones you throw in the back of the four-wheeler. Either way, if you don't have growth going on where the root structures are just grabbing the soil from that growth, that stuff will turn up really nice and easy, and it will give you a chance to put a food plot in. But if you got a green friggin' pasture of tall grass and stuff, you're not going to turn any dirt. It's not going to happen. Not well.
No, I mean, I think the point is, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
I can't hear my damn self. There we go. I think the point is you your food plot is only going to be as good as the prep work that you do beforehand. It's no different than when we were painting houses in college. You know, the prep work, a good paint job is only as good as the prep work that you put in beforehand. You got to scrape, you got caulk that ass. You got to do all that shit. You know, it's the same thing for the food plots, though. You have to the prep work that you put in, and you don't it like I don't believe that you have to spend hours upon hours doing that if you start taking care of stuff right now, like you said. Like, so when Dean says spraying, you're spraying with some sort of herbicide in order to kill the grasses, the weeds, the broadleaf, whatever is in that food plot or in that area that you want to grow a food plot right now that's not supposed to be there, that's going to compete with the seeds that are already there right now. Or I should say, what is there right now is going to compete with the seeds that you're putting into the ground in the future. Whatever is there now that is going to compete needs to die, basically.
Yep.
It needs to die prior to you moving that earth because it's going to make that process a whole lot easier. And even though anytime you till, or I mean, if you're tilling a food plot, anytime you till it, you're still regenerating new growth. You're still kind of bringing new seeds and stuff to the surface that are going to sprout and they're going to compete with your food plot regardless. And we can talk about like the timing of planting all that also. But for right now, the point is that you want to eliminate everything that is going to compete, and you want to keep that eliminated until you are ready to plant, more or less. So when you're spraying, I mean, quote me if I'm wrong, but you're going to be spraying probably 2 to 3 times a summer realistically in order to make sure that the food, especially with fall plots, July, end of July, early August, that they're going in relatively smooth.
Yeah, I would say so. Spray them 2 to 3 times. Again, that just keeps everything down. When you hit them early, you're almost going to have a bare dirt food plot before you start, you know? But we realize when you go back in June, maybe beginning of July, there's some spots that you missed or whatever. You're just kind of doing some cleanup stuff with the spraying. That's what we do. And like I said, if it's a long time and you got a lot of rains and whatnot, you'll have some new growth coming up. So you spray that stuff down too. But definitely want to spray early so that you can have an opportunity to work with the field. Otherwise, it's going to be overwhelming to figure out even what to do when you
Right.
got to. I mean, if you have if you have a plow or something with some heavier equipment, it's a little bit more doable because you can just turn that sod over. But then it's still going to need time to decompose and do its thing where you can break up the soil good. But most people are putting in smaller food plots like these, you know, little kill plots here and there, and you're not going to plow them up. It's just usually they're too close to trees and it just
Yeah.
gets you in a mess, and those are hard. But the
I mean,
point is,
even the throw and grow areas, honestly, like some of that throw and grow seed could probably be fairly effective, but the hard part is people go into it with expectations that it's going to look like the food plot that you're sitting behind, and it comes out a different way. But a lot of that probably has to do even still with the prep work because all seed needs contact with the soil in order to grow. And the
Yep.
more, like, even if the grass is dead and you have that area to plant, like, even if that grass is dead, it still needs to get connected with the soil in that specific plot in order to grow good. So you've got to eliminate it all. And when you're trying to till up like grasses and weeds and stuff that are alive, when you're trying to till that stuff up, it is extremely painful and just time consuming, and it's hard. I mean, it definitely creates a lot more time. It creates a lot more wear and tear on your equipment. And this is a step that really anybody could do with like a backpack sprayer or a little tank that you can put on the back of a four-wheeler and be able to keep your food plot or areas of designated food plot ready to roll for the end of the summer, towards the end of the summer.
For sure. For sure.
So,
Definitely be careful. I know if there was a different way, we would do it because we don't love working with the chemicals. You gotta, yeah, you gotta take all the precautions. I would say
well,
put a mask on, long sleeves. I mean, I wear rubber gloves.
you owe it
I
to yourself. You owe it to yourself to do that. I mean, even eye protection, like you don't want spurts of that getting in your eye. And when you are spraying, you need to pay attention to the wind. I mean, you want, like if you have a backpack sprayer on, you really want the wind at your back as you're spraying. Like keep that stuff going away from you.
yeah,
You know, keep that stuff moving away from you. If you're in a four-wheeler, or if you're on a four-wheeler, it's a little different. You want the wind in your face, so and you're going to be moving along a little bit faster regardless. But if that wind is at your back, you're still getting hit with some of that stuff coming
sure,
out of the
yeah,
spray.
yeah. And I
So,
mean, most of the time we're spraying. I mean, you want to spray with no wind, you
right,
do.
yeah.
But there's just times where I mean, we don't have all the time in the world to do all of this stuff. You have a designated time, like, oh, I got 4 hours on Saturday allotted to going to get some food plot work in. You can't control the weather at that time. So sometimes you got to deal with what you got. So if there's a 5 to 10 mile an hour, little breeze, um, sometimes you got to deal with it. So, but ideally there would be no wind or waiting to, till the evening where it calms down, whatever, so that you can spray when it's calm. That way it's not hitting other stuff that you don't want it to hit either. But
And when you're spraying, are you spraying like the what effect does rain or no rain have on that, or does it?
um rain has, I would say, doesn't have little effect on it, but I would, as long as the herbicide is, you get it down an hour, 2 hours would be nice, but an hour before it starts raining, you're going to be good. That stuff dries on there pretty quick, and once it's saturated into the plant, that it's dead. I mean,
Okay, so you just need it to dry on there, basically. I mean, you could, if it's dry in the morning, you spray. It could rain in the afternoon, and you should be all right.
yeah, yeah. Usually wait until, sometimes I like to wait until like the if there's a heavy dew, wait till that stuff's
Yeah,
kind of
that makes sense.
evaporated. Wait till the plants are dry, hit them. It usually dries within 15-20 minutes, especially if you got a nice baking sun. That's when the best time is to spray. I think you get the most effective kill, and then just let her ride.
Well, and
Let
then
her.
you don't expect results for. I mean, how long really?
I mean, if it's if the vegetation is a little more established, it's going to take a little bit longer, but I would say 2 weeks for sure before the whole field's dead. I mean, obviously, if you're spraying early in the spring, which what I would suggest doing to stay ahead of it, and stuff's just starting to green up, it should be dead in about a week. But if you got a lot of vegetation to work with, then you might want to potent up the dose a little bit there.
Well, I mean, and that's kind
Burn
of
it.
going like towards the Like if you're only spraying once, then I would definitely say up the dosage, make that a little bit more potent, and you want to give yourself, in my opinion, 3 to 4 weeks. Like if you're planting at the end of July, say the first week of August, I personally think you need to be spraying, right around that 4th of July time, like that first week of July for that planting time because it does take longer. It takes a little bit longer than you would think. And especially, probably depends on the species of plant that you're trying to kill off. But if the plants also have had all summer to grow and, they're knee high or waist high or something at that point, I mean, you definitely need every bit of 3 to 4 weeks before that field, is fully dead and you can go in there and actually be efficient in planting your food plots
Yeah, if it's that tall, honestly, I would brush hog it all before spraying it.
first. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the top stuff that you hit, it's going to take weeks for it to die. And then even if it's that tall and you come back 3 weeks later, like most of the field might be dead. But if you're tilling, which is what we do, you're it's just still going to be your tiller is going to get wrapped up with dead grass, and it's just going to be not smooth,
Yeah,
honestly.
it's just inefficient.
And you might realize that the field looks dead, but once you start getting to the ground level of it, there's still, you know,
Right.
some of it's still alive down there, and that's where the roots are connected, which is you might not get that. You want that tiller to be running smooth and it just chops into fine dirt.
Right.
Fine dirt. If it's starting to like chunk stuff up or like flop stuff over and all that sod still together, then you didn't get quite the kill off that you'd hope.
Well, and you're going to be tilling it multiple. I mean, you're going to be tilling that specific field multiple times,
Yeah.
and it's not that big of a deal, I don't think, when it's one food plot. But
No.
if you're talking about doing, 3 or 4 of them, or 6 or 7 of them, whatever,
Or big
between,
one. Yeah, big
yeah,
ones.
or bigger ones. I mean, then you run into time. I mean, like for us, we've kind of built Camp Cutlet into a place where there's what? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, seven, at least 7 plots, and there's going to be more this year. So from that standpoint, like you have to be efficient, and that's where some of this stuff comes in. We've just kind of learned the hard way, a year or two prior to doing it the way that we do it now. Like it's all about your time management and being efficient. So that's one of the reasons why we start spraying right now is because as soon as those plants start greening up and coming out of the ground, you can hit them once and the growth is going to be substantially less throughout the summertime, even if you don't spray it again until a couple weeks before you're going to plant it. But if you spray it once now and then maybe another time, like in the beginning of June, I would say, once you get to like July, a lot of that stuff's going to be dead already, and you may need to spot spray it, a couple weeks before you're going to plant. But the planting process is going to be so smooth for
Yeah.
you.
Yep. It's going to be fine dirt, and you're going to be like, wow, this thing looks great.
I love me some fine dirt.
It's going to look great. The other thing, too, is now, or I mean, soon, is get a soil sample.
Yeah.
Even if it's honestly, because soil samples, they're really a pain in the ass, honestly. They like,
So is spraying.
it's, yeah, so spraying, it is.
I mean,
But
this time of
soil
year, though.
samples, it's like, okay, let me get a bucket of soil, put it in a bag, send it to someone to get these results back. I don't know. To me, it's a pain in the ass process. If you're doing one, two, or one or two food plots, it's super doable. So do it. If you want to learn a little bit and get like some kind of way to test it yourself, do it. But test it in some way at least get the pH out of it. That's the most important thing. Get the pH. I mean, you can buy these things on Amazon that you can like stick in the ground, and I don't know how accurate they are. We have one that don't rely on all the time, but I use it. I want to like test and see how well it works. But you can like stick them in the ground and it'll read out a pH,
Yeah.
give you a ballpark.
What is there a pH that you're looking for? Like, what does that mean?
Well, most plants are different, but usually you want to be like in the 6.5 area. 6.5, 7. Usually for most, you just want a fairly neutral pH. If it's too acidic, like too low, you can do everything else right. You could put 400 pounds of fertilizer down, but like the soil is only going to use a certain percentage of that. So if your pH is not right, you're really just blowing money
Yeah,
because
because the fertilizer you're putting down, you're not getting.
no, it's not getting used.
Makes that makes sense.
It's not getting used. So honestly, you're better off getting the pH right by putting some lime down or whatever, and then putting less fertilizer than you would be just screw the lime, screw the whatever the pH is, just dumping fertilizer.
Right, that makes sense.
And a lot of our food plots, you can get pelletized lime and put it in your like 3-point spreader, whatever you got that you're spreading seed with. You can do that, which helps us get into some areas that we can't. But we can't. Most of our food plots, we can't get like a lime buggy, and that's got like 4 tons of lime on it
So
to
you have
spread
to
it.
use that pelletized,
Yeah, we either have to use pelletized or you use some of these products out, like a
like
liquid
a
calcium,
like a deer grow or
yeah, liquid lime, and um, we used some of those last year, and I didn't do soil tests later, like when we were planting, which I should have, just to see
yeah,
what it actually did to the soil. But it definitely worked because we had a couple fields, where a field that we did soybeans and corn in that had like pH of 5.5, which is terrible, or not. It's not good. It needs to come up a whole point.
right,
And we grew really good soybeans and corn out of that field. So obviously it worked to some,
yeah.
to some
And
degree. But you
some of that pelletized lime, it will take like I think like upwards of 6 months for the soil to like really absorb all of it, from my understanding. So
yeah, you
like
want to do
some of
lime
that,
soon.
yeah, I mean some of that pelletized lime, like you could spray a plot right now and then throw the lime right over top of it and let it just absorb into the soil.
Let it soak.
Give it one of them syrup soakers like your hotcakes.
Give it a soak.
God, I love food plots.
Can't wait to start them.
Oh gosh,
Going to be starting them soon. So in New York, I feel like winter never ends there.
it doesn't.
Even though this winter has been good, but you just have those give you 60-degree one day and then boom, we get snow the next. And I don't think we're completely done yet, but as soon as as soon as April rolls around, we're going to be starting to go.
I mean, that's the crazy part about New York too. Like you have like a week window of shed hunting, pretty much.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
sometimes we do. And it is crazy. We can't we've tried, or we do sometimes, but you really can't burn where we're at. It just, you don't have the opportunity to. It's too wet, or there's still snow on the ground, or it starts greening up. And then once it's green, you're not burning anything really. But um yeah, we literally get glaciers in New York. People don't really understand. Like I've watched all these videos of guys burning and stuff, and they're in Missouri, and it's beautiful sunny weather, but it's dry and nothing's growing or greening up yet, and you just have like 2 months of bare land that you can
Burn it.
burn and do all this stuff on. We don't have that opportunity and at least where we are in New York, in the lake
Not in the
effect
snow belt.
snow belt.
Well,
But
down here where I'm at in Tennessee, like things are already greening up. So, I'm seeing guys that are tilling their fields and stuff like that, and maybe that have already planted, corn or soybeans or something down here where, at home in Ohio or New York where Cam Cutlet is, that's like a month difference.
definitely, definitely is.
The growing season is a lot longer down here.
Yeah, which is why in New York you got to be on top of your game because it's definitely shorter, and we don't really normally get that. At least for the springtime stuff, like when we put corn and soybeans in, you got like a 3 week window to plant it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Other places, I feel like you have like a 2 month window you could put it in.
And the weather has to be good. Like a lot of times this time of year up there, especially, it's super wet. So, you're waiting for like a week of dry and sunlight, which doesn't happen often. Last year we got lucky, I remember. We definitely got lucky towards the like end of April, early May to get kind of ahead of the game a little bit. Not ahead of the game, but we had the corn and soybeans. I know you and Ryan had them in. They were it was on time. Everything was solid.
Yeah.
Ample growing period.
Yep. Spring
That's
was good. And then late summer, we got shit on with rain, which
Yeah,
is when the turnips, I tell everyone this, they do not like a lot of water.
too much.
They do not like a lot of water. If you get too much rain, them things are going to be shite.
Shit. They're going to be shit, is what he says.
Or if you don't have good drainage, you got to have good drainage.
God, I love food plots and I love good drainage. Oh, it's around the corner.
It
It's
is.
here,
And I've
here
already,
pretty much.
yeah, I've already started frost seeded a little bit about a month ago.
No
Uh,
shit.
and yeah, we're going to be starting to, like I said, we have a couple new fields. We're going to be planting probably corn and soybeans this year, which will be an interesting project that we will be taking you along with us on the journey of. But they're fields that have been hay fields for, as long as we've been alive.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting because those will be a work in progress, and I'm not sure exactly how we're going to tackle them yet in terms of turning the dirt. But when we figure that out, we'll let you know. But yeah, they'll
One one of the few areas that we will be able to plant that is elevated, like top field access, pulling the deer out of the bottom, having a little bit more wind advantage. So I'm looking forward to that.
yeah,
It-
I cannot wait to see the effectiveness of a couple of these fields that we are going to plant. And yeah, like you said, we don't a lot of our existing property was down in the bottom.
right.
Um, with
And,
adding a
and
piece
it's
that's up on a hill a little bit will give us a lot of, I think, good growing
Well,
opportunities. So
yeah, because we've fought water, which is harder to fight, especially when you're in the bottom. So, like being up on the hills, it's going to be at least make it easier. You're going to get the initial drainage, and the water table up there is not going to be, you know, you're not going to fight that water nearly as much. Sunlight, another one, like you're going to get far more sunlight typically up on, especially in the spots that we're going to plant, and then just access for ourselves. It is nice having some of these fields in the bottoms where the deer, you have a small or a short range from where they are feeding or where they're bedding for the day and where they're going to get up and feed. But that causes its challenges too, getting in and out of those spots and getting in and out of them frequently. So being able to provide a little destination food that is a lot more suitable for hunting. It'll be, like I said, the constant winds up there. You'll be able to hunt the wind, far better than some of these other places. And I just think it's going to suit us very, very well. I'm excited.
It's gonna.
It's gonna,
It's
it's
gonna.
gonna,
Looking forward to it.
kill another good one right off the beans. They munch them beans like crazy. I love beans.
Love hunting them soybeans.
I love soybeans. I love soybeans all time of year. I mean, because like when you're scouting in the summertime, what are you looking for? You're looking for big soybean fields because when them leaves are green, them bucks are chewing, baby. They're chewing.
They are chewing.
They like that protein.
You know, I've noticed it's different in other places, but like especially in Ohio, but in New York, we don't like a lot of people don't. A lot of the crops are. First of all, there's not a lot of soybeans where we're at in New York. If anyone's growing anything, it's corn, and most of it's just like feed corn. So it's not like
Yeah, or
they're not
silent. Yeah.
they're not producing it um to sell. So it's and I think a lot of that is probably because our growing season is a little bit shorter, but for whatever reason, the deer it's hard to grow soybeans, especially food plots in western New York because the deer just they don't ever stop eating them. I
Oh my
mean,
God.
from as soon as they sprout, their two first leaves till the last pod falls, and they just don't stop. So
Yeah.
the pressure of the pressure on the fields is usually just.
Hellish.
I mean, it almost pisses you off because you spend so much time trying to grow the field, and then they don't get off of it, or they're not off of it when you want them to be. But like all these people are in Ohio, Midwest, like the deer don't eat the bean, like they don't touch the beans when they're yellowing, up and the leaves are falling off of them. They're not touching them until like late season again when they
Late season.
need to. And the deer where we're at, they don't stop eating them. I mean, when they turn yellow, they're eating them. When they're
Well, it's a lot of it's because too. I think the temperature change is so drastic for us. Like it once October hits up there, I mean, it could be 70 one day and 25 the next. That's just how it is. So
yeah,
that cold snap, or if you get like an intense one like that, I mean, it instantly kind of shifts their mind. I feel like to eat the pods now. Don't
yep.
matter, but it is nuts.
Hell, they'll eat the stalk. Seen them eating the stalks.
Yeah, and dude, I remember 2 years ago when I think it was the first year we were doing an electric fence. I think it was the first year, and Cherry Bomb, the buck that Dad ended up shooting. Remember, he was somehow. I mean, we had that fence set up pretty well, actually. The electric fence. It might have been the second year because we might have had it dialed in at that point, or we felt like we did. But that friggin' buck, we would get trail camera pictures, and that deer would be right in the middle, just munching beans for like the last hour of daylight. Like, how did you? He either didn't give a shit about the shock, or he jumped it somehow, or I don't know. But he was one that was gonna figure out a way to get in and eat.
And he
Didn't
did.
matter, and he did. But
And he get back out.
bastard, we got our money worth for that one. Son of a gun got capped, 220-yard shot.
Oh man. Food plots. What else?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Need to find a food plot location down here in Tennessee myself,
Oh yeah.
so I could dig some dirt up and plant some shit.
That's the other funny thing is in New York, the like turnips and stuff have worked so good. Turnip brassicas, and it seems like Uncle Jay, you tried a couple down there in Tennessee. It seems like they don't hit them as much.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I mean, I kind of want to experiment with it
More.
more just to see, but it is. I mean, we don't. There's you don't get the snow down here. You know, you get it gets cold for a couple months in the wintertime, but like you don't get the snow, whereas up there, like I feel like that's such a food source that they turn to when it gets really really cold, and not even then when the snow gets deep. Like
Well, yeah, and I mean, the leaves and stuff, everything sweetens up with those things when you get the frost, and you
yeah,
don't get that until later in the season.
way later in the season. So I'd be very interested to see what a couple acres worth of beans would do down here, especially like December, you know, I mean the season's over like the first week of January, but late into December, late November into December when the rut is kind of winding down and it does. I mean it'll get cold here, down into the 20s, stuff like that. And I mean, deer are subject to their bellies. They got to go somewhere to eat.
They gotta,
You got to eat.
gotta eat.
Oh shit! What do you got going on the rest of the week?
I want to be doing food plots.
Is it drying
No,
up? I mean, is it drying
no,
up there?
no. I think it's supposed to rain all week.
Sick.
It's raining right now.
Perfect.
It might be.
Perfect.
So it might be a couple weeks before we get going with anything like that. Right now, I've been as far as property stuff goes, I've been doing some prunage on some apple trees.
Oh yeah.
I've been cutting a few trees down, but I'm gonna do a little experimenting with the old hack and squirt method. I haven't really tried to do that yet, but basically just terminating trees, like unwanted trees that it's not gonna have any future timber growth, and trees that really don't benefit any wildlife. They just take up sunlight on the canopy.
Okay.
So I'm gonna experiment with a couple small sections of the property and see, just see what it does. That's how you learn.
So when do you think we can expect the first episode of Food Plot Crannies to be launching?
Is that included in Food Plot Chronicles? Hack and squirt?
I don't know. I'm just asking. Could be. Well, I mean, if it's on the edge of a food plot, like it should be.
Could be.
I mean, I'd
If
like.
not, it'll be end of April, maybe early in May, and we start turkey hunting a little bit. That's usually right in New York when things start greening up, and we'll start spraying, and we'll start making a plan for some of these fields that haven't been touched.
Oh, I feel that.
Because some of those we may elect to not spray at all. We may just they may need to be plowed. We may be borrowing equipment from a neighbor too and plowing those fields up, on the sooner than later side and just letting them sit for a little while um, until we want to start disking.
Yeah, that makes sense. New things coming.
New things coming, but I'm excited for everyone to see the food plot process because we're just adding to the. We got a lot of different fields we're working with, a lot of different things we're planting, and a lot of different um, conditions we're going to be working with. So we're going to be learning ourselves. And if you want to learn anything along the way, come on and watch us on the journey of Food Plot Chronicles.
Food Plot Chronicles. It's a great journey. We will normally have a shorter version of that on the Rocky Instagram page, usually like a 90-second version, and then the full version, which can be upwards of like, I don't know, 12, 15 minutes, um, we'll have on our YouTube channel. So we've been doing that for the past 4 years now. So we've learned a lot the hard way, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, we've learned a lot the hard way for many more years than that, but Food Plot Chronicles has been in existence for the last 4 years or so, and you can go on our YouTube channel, check that out. Like I said, we just put up a compilation of last year's full season of Food Plot Chronicles on our YouTube channel, and yeah, I mean it's it's cool. I don't know. It's cool to see to me because every year is different. Like not that we do like a ton of crop rotation per se, but every year is different when it comes to what's going to be in a specific plot, what we're going to change up. The weather obviously plays a major factor. The results from the previous year play a major factor. And so we've kind of just built like a notebook of the crannies that we go off of year to year. And it's kind of cool to look back on. And I mean, one of our best bean fields, I think, was the first time we ever planted what we call our front field. And didn't we just have like a shitty like that bale wrap fence around that thing?
Yeah, we literally got a roll of bale wrap, and we just had T posts that we got from like Tractor Supply, and we literally wrapped a bale wrap fence around that whole field, like an acre and a half, 2 acres, and
And
it was ridiculous because that bale wrap is so thin, so it's not very strong, although it is weird. Like it was enough to just make a barrier to just hold some deer and groundhogs and whatever out of the field for a little bit. But I mean, it was every week we were going in there and there would be a Volkswagen size hole in the fence and you have to go patch it up. But then if you didn't, the deer would be like, oh, there's a hole right in this fence. Let's just walk right through it.
yeah, and the
But
crazy part is the fawns. The fawns, I remember we set up a couple trail cameras on, the corners of the fence or some of the areas that were getting dinged up pretty good. And those fawns would get like a running start and they would just blast like they would like expand those fences and push them so far in that they would just blast a hole in them, and then the other deer would just walk right in that hole. It was
yeah, I think
nuts.
the fawns were almost, I think, some of the issue because they would literally, I don't know. Sometimes they would like just freak out and like they do, they like run and play and then they would just run into the fence and if
See ya.
they get like tangled in it a little bit and then they freak out even more and then they rip it and boom, now they're in the fence.
Another, and now they let the whole family in.
Let the whole family in. Yep. So or they get in and then they don't know how to get out and they freak out and they just run right through it again and there's another hole.
Yep, come on in.
But
But
we have
for what
videos.
it,
We
it it kept them out long enough for that field to be insane.
Yeah, it kept them out. It kept enough pressure off the field for it to grow. It did, and we obviously repaired it enough to keep them out enough. But
Yeah,
but yeah, that was we won't do that again. That was a
that
pain
was
in
the
the
year that you shot Sventek or Sventek Junior, wasn't it?
in that field. Yeah,
That was the Sventek Junior Godfather year. That
and even then, that was a whatever an acre, a little over an acre of soybeans, and by the end of November, they're gone.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he was probably there to eat some of the last of them. I mean,
Yeah,
he was.
those
He
deer
was
in that field with that snow we just got were literally eating the last of the beans.
I think he was eating like he picked up a stalk in the right before you shot him. I don't know, but yeah, they were there. They were laying in that bedding area right next to the field. I mean, he was there because he was on the doe, but the doe came out into the field, and lo and behold, he was right behind her.
Lo and behold, behind.
That was nuts. That was another wild, not really a goose chase, but after the fact was nuts because remember that doe was so hot. Dean and I, we were probably sitting like 250, 300 yards apart in two separate blinds. I'm looking over our bottom. Dean's looking over the beans. And our bottom is kind of like our sanctuary. We don't really go in there throughout the year too much until shed season, maybe. But I'm sitting in that one, seeing a couple deer or whatever. And it was early. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, I only had been in for an hour. I don't even know if you'd been in that long because you got in after me.
Yeah, I did.
And then, and all of a sudden, I can't remember. You texted me or no, it was the walkie talkies. You're like, hey, Doe just came into the field, whatever. And then you're like, holy shit, Sventech, or maybe I'm just thinking of the video. I think I'm just thinking of the video, but nonetheless, I'm sitting there. It's like 3 o'clock, little after 3 o'clock, and all of a sudden a freaking shot goes off and rings the whole blind, and I'm like, holy shit! I knew it was Dean, but I'm like, and I also knew like he's not shooting just anything, and he's not shooting a doe. So I'm instantly, my heart like is beating out of my chest. Well, he called, we did our celebration, whatever, and then we went in to recover him in the daylight. Meanwhile, we were both just sitting in a blind, so we both have black hoodies on. There's a foot and a half, close to 2 feet of snow, and there's snow all over the trees. I mean, it was a winter wonderland. Like, we stuck out in these black hoodies like a sore thumb. And after we went up to him, we watched that same doe get chased in and out of the field, back and forth, probably 2 or 3 different times by, I think, 3 different bucks. And then we finally drug him to the front of the field, and we were taking pictures by the redneck, taking pictures, and she came out of the back of the field, and she was just looking at us like, I know she could see him. We're holding him, and she's looking at us. I mean, we're only 80 yards apart, 70, 80 yards apart, and she's just watching us take these pictures. And it was the craziest shit ever. Like, weirdest feeling, just insane, because you knew, like, she was looking at us, but she was looking at him like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was wildly eerie feeling. I think it was just, yeah, she knew he was there, and she was just like, all these
Well,
bucks are chasing me, but I'm only trying to get bread by $1,
and
and it
they
was you.
they had definitely already been breeding, I think, in
Yeah,
that, in the thick, like, in the bedding area that they came out of. I think they were just breeding in there, and she came out to get a bite to eat in the midst of, you know,
yeah,
the hibbity dibbity,
because
and
they were very calm. It was not a
yeah,
it was not a chase anything, no chase phase when they came out. It was calm
no, yeah, exactly, and
re-
but the fact that
recovery.
she got chased in and out of that field after the fact just shows that she smelled like a little something. That something smelled good to a lot of different bucks in that area.
She smelled a lot of bit good.
Love is in the air. Ooh, 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 ooh. Shit. Shit, that's good stuff. Food plots. God, I love food plots.
Love food plots.
Well, I don't know. What do you think, man? What else you got? Wonder Boy.
Well, no, that's it. I'm excited to start the process. Like I said, did some frost eating a little bit ago, and now I'll be waiting until the weather warms up,
Give us that sunlight, baby. Dry,
dries up.
dry it up a little bit for us. But yeah, as we go through this food plot journey, if anybody has any questions, comments, anything, I mean, we're an open book, so don't hesitate to reach out. We love helping out, spreading knowledge, talking about all this stuff, as you can tell, and making this a 365-day a year thing is honestly, for us, is what we're most passionate about. Just enjoying every part of the quote unquote season or throughout the year as it comes, and it's all part of the process. Like, the trigger pull at the end is obviously the thing that we all set out for, and it's kind of the glamour moment. Get to take them pictures, get to post them up on the gram, but a lot of them deer are killed this time of year, and whether it's scouting or prepping land and getting ready to plant food plots and just kind of getting all your ducks in a row that way, I truly believe that um, a lot of those deer are killed essentially this time of year, and the work that you're able to put in, and that you let yourself put in.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Honestly, the two. I'll just say this too: the food plot thing. It's not always about hunting on the food plot. It's not about that. It's about holding and drawing deer to your property that gives you more opportunities to hunt a nice buck. It may be on the food plot, it may be off of it, but we have killed a handful of really good deer on our property, and the food plots had so much to do with it, but we didn't kill them on the food plot.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were in there because they had what they needed. And I think that's important. Is everyone, sometimes people are like, well, all you hunt is food plots or whatever. Like, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, in the last 2 years in New York, we've shot 7 4.5-year-old or older bucks, 7 bucks that we were after. And how many were on food plots? Three of the 7 were on food plots,
So Nipsey was
or
obviously.
or 2.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Nipsey was.
2 of them were 2 of the 7 were on food plots.
Nipsey and Bernie.
Nipsey and Bernie were the only 2 on food
But
plots.
the other ones, yeah, were there. I mean, like I just said, the Cherry Bomb, he was around all summer, and that was because he had food to eat all summer. And then moving into the fall months, he stayed where, his core stayed very similar, I believe, because number one, he didn't have much other competition, but also the doe were there, and he had food. I mean, he had what he needed, and he
Yep.
wasn't on a food plot. No, but the food kept him where he was at, kept him comfortable,
Yep.
kept him coming back. I mean, Cartman, he was all over friggin' food plots here, there, and everywhere. Like most of the ones that we have, you could have shot him
On any of them.
three or four times on the food plot. But I
Yep.
shot him back in the hardwoods. But the food plots kept him where he was at, and it
Yep.
kept him in that area. Bernie, I mean, you know, 3 of the encounters mostly on food plots, but that deer was everywhere, and he cored
But
in that area because of the food.
it's funny. Our encounters were on food almost, I wouldn't say a majority. A lot of our trail camera photos and videos of Bernie were back in the cover on trail, on
Right.
scrapes. They were not on the food. So he was very active around our property. We just happened to see him on the food, but don't think that, if you put in the food plot, that's where you got to hunt or
And
like,
definitely not where you have, like, you obviously want to monitor it with trail cameras, but you have to have trail cameras elsewhere. I mean, think about it. Bernie, we had never, like, since early October, maybe the first couple days of the season, we had never seen him in that food plot. Never, like, while hunting, and you hunted that plot quite a bit throughout bow season, and we had never seen him in that plot until early, or like since early October, and you kill them almost the end of November. Nipsey, same thing. That deer I killed the end of November. We had no idea that he was back using the food plot that he was in. I wasn't going there to I wasn't going to that spot specifically for Nipsey. I knew that it was a possibility because that's where he was hitting early, end of summer and
I
early
don't think,
fall.
I
But
don't think we had any. I mean, again, these deer can slip through food plots. They don't have to go in front of your camera necessarily, but I don't think we had a daylight photo of Nipsey on a food plot
uh, ever,
that year.
ever.
The year before we did, but
Yeah.
not last year or whatever, 2
No,
years ago
and
when you killed him.
it was not until we checked the cameras that were, we checked a couple cameras that we knew that he was in that area at that time either, because we hadn't seen him
No, he
for,
left for a while.
yeah, I mean, it
We
was,
we almost forgot. We almost, like, we were not focusing on Nipsey anymore.
no, there was,
After the start of the bow season, he was in there, and then he kind of just disappeared a little bit to the point where we were like, I don't know, we're not seeing him anymore. We gotta focus
we'd get
elsewhere.
we'd get sporadic pictures of him at night. And I remember there was one daylight picture, like middle of the day, probably like November 19th, 20th, somewhere in there, all the way back where I shot Cartman this year. Like not even close to that, the plot that I actually killed him on. And yeah, I mean, but once again, I mean, yeah, I shot him on the plot, but like that brought him back. Like that brought him back to that area where we hadn't seen him in quite some time.
Yep.
And so it all reverts back to the food. And like Dean said, you don't necessarily need to be hunting on it. And just because you plant that specific food plot doesn't mean that like now all of a sudden all you need to do is like put up a blind on it and you're going to see every deer in the county. No,
No.
you now need to observe and learn how they're using that. Maybe they only use that in the middle of the day. Maybe you have a little, like a 1 acre plot that is on the way to like a massive corn bean field that they're eventually trying to get to. That thing could be a half mile, 3/4 of a mile away, and they're hitting yours for 10 or 15 minutes on their way there. And that could be at 2, 3 in the afternoon when they're just going out, when they're headed that way. But so you have that food there, and that doesn't just mean all of a sudden that it's game over. Now the learning starts to figure out how they're using it, where they're coming from, and how you can set up to ambush.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's my 2 cents.
And you never know when you're gonna, deer are, they're always seeking food. So if they're in an area that might be a half mile away that you're just out of your core and you never see them, well, maybe if you have some turnips planted late season and they need some food or different food, they stumble upon your property, they start using it for 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe that's all they're using it for, but that could be just enough time, big enough window to kill them.
Kill them.
Mystery buck, but the food will be the reason for it.
I guarantee it. Because the hoes are too unpredictable.
Gosh damn it.
Well, I think that's a good spot to end it for today. That was a good food plot chat, especially this early in the season, still in the month of March, getting out in front of things or just, staying a little bit ahead while you can. I think it's all good shit.
Heck yeah. Sometimes not your most exciting stuff or poop stories or
It really isn't. I mean, like doing like spraying the fields, not the most exciting stuff. Super necessary, not the most exciting at all. Doing the soil testing, same thing. Not the most glamorous stuff, but it's necessary, and you are going to be grateful that you did it when you are sitting over a perfect plot come end of October, November, into December. Whenever you're hunting over it, like you're going to be grateful that you put that extra time in, even if it's a half hour or whatever to go collect soil samples, or it's another hour, another tank of spraying, a month from now or 2 months from now, just to kind of get that little edge on the weed control within. You're never going to regret doing that extra little work for your plots, especially when it comes to actually reaping the benefits from them when you're hunting during the season, October, November, December, whatever it is. So
you ain't gonna. And, luckily for this year, I'm pretty sure herbicide and stuff is back down to
very true.
relatively reasonable prices because last year it was outrageous. So it's all the more reason. It gives you a little more ability to be able to spray this year, and not break the bank.
That's good shit. Thank you, Joey.
Thanks there, Joey.
Thanks for nothing there, Joey. Well,
good shit. We'll talk more about this stuff as the process unfolds, and you'll be coming along with us on our vlogs.
no doubt about it. As always, go to Instagram, search Team TAGNBRAG on Instagram, give us a follow. TAGNBRAG on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you ingest your podcasts. And We'll be right back here next Wednesday, spitting that game and enjoying life.
Follow it.
God
Follow
bless.
me.
Follow me.
Isn't that enough?
Everything is
It's
all
all
right.
right.
I'll
I'll
be
be the one to.
you in and that.
And if you want to leave, I can guarantee you won't find nobody else like me.
What is that? Uncle Cracker or Smashing
Uncle. No, Uncle Cracker.
That's good shit. I think we need that as our theme song.
That's perfect.
Goose chasing, follow me. Is that like an oxymoron or something?
Let me chase you, and you can
Follow me.
follow me.
God bless.
We'll be going in circles.
All right, y'all. Next Wednesday, we'll be right back here.
Let's get after it.
God bless.
God bless.